Hello and welcome to the virtual Spec P71 Racing Series Round 2 here at Watkins Glen International Raceway. I'm your host and owner of Spec P71 Racing Series, Brett Madsen. Once again here all by my lonesome as the lone spectator, but also lone announcer. Looks like we've got a little bit of rain here going on at Watkins Glen today. Should be make for some interesting competition between these drivers here as we see everyone start to pile in for practice. Hope you all are doing well this week and this weekend. Hope you all had a great weekend. Out here in Los Angeles, we've been doing a little bit of smoke inhalation from the fires, but we are all good here down in South Bay of Los Angeles. My heart goes out to everyone that's affected by the fires, of course. Wishing that we had the same weather that we see here at Watkins Glen. That might actually help wash away some of the ash. So we watch my Corcha getting a little squirrely going into the boot there. It's gonna be a tough one. These tires are like, while they do have rain drainage, they are not exactly the best tire for rain. Knowing that personally from racing out at Buttonwillow with these tires at with the Spec P71 cars, they definitely still slide a lot. Typically what we do is we disconnect the rear sway bar. That's the fastest way around the track with the rain setup, and that really helps the car engage and hook up a little bit better. So we lovely have a technical difficulty, of course, as per usual with Assetto Corsa. Just Assetto Corsa-ing its way through life. Get loaded back into the server here real quickly. Thankfully, we're only in practice, so it's not too big of a deal. So we move right back on to watch Amy Dilks in the Iron Dames Women Driven by Dreams car. Heading into the bus stop here. Getting real squirrely on the braking, trying to hold on to it, keep it going. Amy from the Northeast, not a stranger to rain at all, or rain driving whatsoever. So you see these three cars, Sam Doherty in front, Amy getting a little sideways as she goes through the entry to the boot there. It's a difficult corner as it's downhill off camber, so it gets the car real loose through there. Cycle through some of our other cameras here. See if we could switch over to James Pendry here. We know, oh, nope, he is in the pit lane, so that's not going to be the ideal. We'll go over to Stephen Moore, another very fast driver here from the Pacific Northwest, also not a stranger to rain. Ride along with him, see how it looks on board with that rain coming down. Between the rain and the sun reflecting off those rain droplets, that can't be the most ideal visual situation going on in the cockpit there. See a little bit of corner entry understeer there. Very typical of these cars, just mainly all the weight shifting to the front. Just wants to continue to shift all that weight towards the front. Corner exit, got that nice little oversteer. Really getting in there and touching the puddles that are on the inside of the corner there. It can't really get around that, unfortunately, on some of these corners, and it just causes the car to push. Across the start finish. Keep in mind that all of the painted surfaces, including the curbing, are all just like ice when you touch them here. So you try to keep it off of those as much as possible. On exit, not too much of a big deal. These cars don't exactly have enough horsepower to spin the tires on the curbing or anything like that. But you see Steven staying out of that rain groove there, which is a good idea. Out of the all the water that's going to be accumulating on the inside of that corner as you head up and out of the S's towards the bus stop. And now for the sketchiest part of this track, the entry to the bus stop in the wet. Steven getting in there nice and late, getting a little crossed up, but managing to hold on to it a bit. Doing a great job keeping the car pointed in the right direction. The carousel, very nice and slick. See a nice little slide there. Down into the boot, where we've seen two cars now get completely sideways and lose control. So definitely not a very easy corner to get through. Down to the tip of the boot here. Probably one of the easier corners, I think, just mainly because of the banking. It's going to hold the car really well on the interior of this. Maybe towards the exit, because it does kind of like taper off with the banking, and you'll see his steering wheel get a little bit like on the counter steer there, just to correct on the exit and accelerate out. As we head towards the heel of the boot now. Nice slow corner there. Just try to keep it as under control into the exit of the boot. This is a very flattening corner towards the exit. You'll see a lot of people getting off into that grass there and potentially into the wall. Makes for some very interesting situations, especially if they're trying to go too wide through there. Overall, Steven doing a great job in the wet here. Keeping it under control, not trying to push it too hard. Overall, fantastic drive by Steven. So we move on to Colin. One of our super fast drivers in the series. Does a fantastic job in the qualifying, but seemed to have dropped off a little bit last event. See if he can make up some time here and get back on top of the leaderboard. See if we could take a look at our series standings at the moment, just to see who is on top. Looks like, okay, so even though that Colin did not actually claim a victory in the first round, I believe, he is still P2 in the series technically, but P1 overall, mainly because of the series tie that is currently occurring with Sam Dougherty and Colin with 197 points after Daytona. So they have a deadlock right now. As we switch over to Sam in the Fujiwara Tofu Special Spec P71. And moving on to currently sitting in third in the overall standings, Philip Aaron. had an unfortunate situation where he spun out in race two at Daytona last week or 2 weekends ago. And yeah, that unfortunately that spin took him out of the lead. He had a lead if he had was just able to hold on to that position, but it did not work out very well, unfortunately. See if he can make up that lost those lost points in Watkins Glen this week. Which, speaking of last week, the reason why we did not have a stream was the real Spec P71 car, and that is currently in my driveway, consuming pretty much 4 straight days of my week last week as I prepared it for the season that's coming up, starting in February at the new Button Willow Raceway track that they call the Circuit. Should be tons of fun, but basically tore down the entire top end of that car and was hoping to have it done in time before the race, and I just called it. I called it too close, and I just ended up saying that we're gonna push the second race to this weekend, and I'm glad that I did because man, I was burnt out after all that work on that engine. It's been a while since I've had to do that, but it's all back together now. Hoping to finish up the everything that I'm working on. I replaced a lot of like I said, basically the entire top end, waiting for ADTR Performance, the #1 aftermarket parts company for Crown Victorias and Panther bodies, to send me a ported plenum that we're gonna throw on, and hopefully see if we can get from 220 real low horsepower to 270 with the cams that we also installed. Should be fun. Gonna get it on the dyno hopefully before Button Willow and see what we can make. As we switch to Tyler Herron, who's doing an incredible job. He's in P3 right now in practice, running 234s. It would seem doing a great job with the speed here. Loving his livery that he's got going. It's absolutely beautiful. The Hontown Star Cadet car. If I'm not mistaken, Tyler Herron also reigns from the Pacific Northwest. So again, not a stranger to rain. But we'll see what everyone is capable of doing as we go into qualifying. Not sure if it's going to remain as rain or if it's going to dry up. We'll see. I know the server here is set up specifically as a live weather server, so we're gonna get a free-for-all for the rain. I'm just as clueless about this as everybody else. But I did, however, dial it down from snow because we do not need snow occurring at this time with these cars. So if there was snow like there was last week, which would have been a complete nightmare for everybody, I definitely toned that down just because we want the drivers to still have a good time, even if it is more entertaining for us to throw snow at them. So we switch over to Tedward. He did send us his new livery. Unfortunately, did not have enough time to really get that uploaded on our end. But next week we will have that showing for us, showing for him. Make sure that's all squared away. Either way, one last time for the Castrol livery. It's just too good not to show anyway. Or I say Castrol, it's actually Astral. But you know, it's a fantastic. Really should be a Lemons livery for someone. It's pretty great. It's got the greatest F1 driver known to man. I know that's Sam Doherty had it was his favorite driver for a while he was in F1, Nicholas Latifi. But I know that Latifi, or the Gotifi, has left F1, so now Sam's favorite driver is Lance Stroll, the good old Canadian. Oh, as we see Ted get a little squirrely there. That's fine, though. He's got a push bar on the front of that car. Did no damage to it. Just reflects right back off and probably did more damage to the Watkins Glen walls. As we see potentially a little bit of an unsafe re-entry there, but he's doing okay. He pulled right back off. Kind of a difficult corner to really gauge if that's an unsafe entry or not, re-entry or not, just mainly because of there's not really a offline that he could have gone for there. But good job heading for the grass to get back on track. We see practice starting to wind down here. We see Colin with a 2:33.831. Looks like the top time for the session so far. So looks like the sun's starting to peek out a bit more here. I wonder if the rain is going to start letting up. Check the weather forecast and see what's going on there. You see the drivers just pounding those curbs as they go through the bus stop. Great thing about these Crown Victoria is they do not care about any kind of curbing. You just fly right over them. It's not a problem. Looks like we might have a little bit of rain stopping, like a break in the rain as we head into qualifying here. So I think we might have some dry weather, according to the live weather update. We shall see. And then looking a little further forward, looks like we're back to rain for race 1, and then maybe a dry second race. So drivers need to get themselves prepared for a potentially dry qualifying session. Looks like our session is up here for practice. We'll just have drivers finishing up their final laps around the track, and the session should switch over to qualifying. Take a brief moment to thank our sponsors, Carter's Customs, the custom hood vents that you see on our cars. As you see a beautiful slide there, and good correction and good save. They supply our custom hood vents on the hoods of the Spec P71 car, potentially more going forward. These hood vents are a absolute must for these cars. Keep them nice and cool. Keep the transmission from overheating. Lets a lot of heat get extracted from the engine bay. And then our other sponsor, of course, is BTM SimSport, hosting these the racing series, virtual racing series, as well as handling the development of the Spec P71 car. And we see Sam Doherty, driver, in our chat here. Hey, did someone mention Sir Lancelot? Yes, we did. Good old Lance Stroll, your best buddy. So we now see the countdown to qualifying. Hope these drivers are ready for a dry qualifying session, or drying, one of the two. I think it's going to either switch to the session as dry, or it's going to eventually slowly get drier. according to the weather forecast, that is. But we shall see. So you see James Pendry over here dominating qualifying here with a 2:33.0. I'd say James is very well accustomed to wet weather, but as he's from the UK, but he now lives in Northern California. A little less rain out there. Don't think he experiences it as much as he would if he still lived in the UK. And Sam says he's driving like Daddy Stroll is watching. Well, hopefully, Daddy Stroll provides you with a little bit of money if you end up winning again. Got to keep that car nice and clean through all of this and avoid any incidents. It looks like in our Discord, Amy Dilks is sending pictures of her kitty. Her co-driver is strapped in and ready to go. I wish I could share this on the stream. It's a very adorable kitty. As we see drivers starting to head out on track here for a qualifying session. It looks like we have some wetness in qualifying, so this maybe it'll clear up, maybe it won't. We'll see. Had assumed that according to the live weather that it was going to clear up a bit, but maybe it's gonna stay nice and rainy. Maybe there's just that singular cloud right over the track that's just pouring it on in for these drivers right now. You see Steven is the first one out on course here. Got a nice open track all the way. Just got to keep those guys far enough behind them that they're not a problem. And just focus on cranking out that fast lap. Getting those tires up to temp is going to be a big thing here. Doing a great job making his way around the track. So we see a massive pack of other drivers behind. It looks like Matt Korchak playing it smart way behind, getting away from everybody, getting that clean drive. But we have quite a number of drivers just sitting back here in a pack all together. Sam getting a little bit of a distance, got his spotlights on for safety since he can no longer put on his flashers. So we Amy, Ted, and Kevin Woodward all together. Got to get a little bit of distance there, guys. James Pendry with his flashers on. That's not going to end well for him. After the last event, there was a lot of discussion about those flashers being on, and that is going to cost him significantly in time on track. As we see Stephen Moore coming across the line with the first lap in. Out lap, of course, so the times are going to be a little bit slower than they will be once they get that first hot lap in. We see Steven keeping that first turn nice and clean. Trying to get around that the S's here nice and smoothly. Staying off of all of the puddles on the inside of the corners as he makes his way towards the bus stop. Keeping it clean through the bus stop there. Using up every little bit of track. Don't see anything from race control on that. I don't see a cut. The last cuts that I see here were James Pendry, Andreas Spec, and Amy Dilks. But I do see there are some collisions going on further back. I have no idea what's going on back there. So oh, perfect cut to Tedward, just bidding it big time going into the bus stop there. This is why I mentioned getting that space as you head out for qualifying is key. As we move back to Kevin Woodward, I don't know what... Oh, there we go. The camera is finally updated. Oh, we have more collisions between Philip Aaron and Tyler Edward. I think it's just bump drafting, though. Doing a little helping for each other as they head down towards the heel of the boot. Two drivers working very hard together, trying to get those fast laps in. Absolutely love these two liveries. Very flashy, very cool looking. But very typical for Phil Rothschafer to have his name in all caps like the boomer that he is. We love Phil for that. Nice little slide as they head into the final sections of Watkins Glen onto that straightaway. We see Stephen Moore with a 237.50. Oh, as we see Philip Aaron spin it out. Colin running a 233.531 on his first hot lap. Out getting a great lap time in there. We see Sam D right behind the two drivers that are fighting for the championship currently with a 234.427. And we still see James Pendry with those flashers on. That is going to cost him significantly. He was advised that it was a 10-second penalty, so every time those flash, it is just 10 seconds added on each time. Maybe at some point you will turn them off. As we see Tedward gets a cut warning. Probably coming through the first section of turn 1 there. Had that unfortunate incident going through the bus stop. No idea if he was helped through there because he was in a pack of other cars. I believe he may have had some help from Kevin Woodward. To review that in post. You see him still getting a little sideways there, so maybe it was on his own volition that he went completely ass around in the Astral car. Not much to say here, but Matt Korchak is doing a great job. Keeping out of trouble. Has his own little space away from everybody else, as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. No one near him. Just turning laps by himself, trying to get a good start this time after he was taken out in round 1. Very nice slide through the bus stop there. Matt, I assume, is also not a stranger to wet weather driving, being in Detroit, Michigan. Doing a great job here, just keeping it on track, getting sideways, and holding on to it. We can appreciate that, Matt. Great job driving. So we see Matt get a little bit offline there, but kind of where you want to be, just off of that line as we see on exit, getting a little crossed up there. Staying out of the all the puddles and everything, but still that exit is it's pretty rough, just mainly because of the lack of camber. Doing a great job otherwise. As we move back to James Pendry here. He might be in P1 here as of right now, but unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna hold up in court. Just mainly because he is running those flashers and losing all of the points right now. Moving on to Lilac Zier, doing a great job as well. Keeping out of trouble, turning some good laps as we see Matt Korchek get a track cut. So that lap is not going to count for Matt this lap, unfortunately. Other driver we haven't talked about much is Andreas Spec. As we see Tedward go around again, having the time of his life in the wet right here. You would think that Tedward would be very well acquainted with the wet weather, being Canadian and all, but it seems the Crown Victoria, albeit that car is also made in Canada, just slipping out of his hands here. As we see one of our real life Spec P71 drivers, Sean Merrick, didn't get to talk about him much last event, mainly because he wasn't around until the literal last lap of race 2. Also doing a great job out here. Sean has very little wet weather driving experience with the Spec P71 car. I believe he participated in the one wet weather drive that we had at Buttonwillow, and he was behind one of our drivers, Chase Hudson, who had a bit of a flip over. So that was an experience. Hopefully no flip overs in the sim today. Rocking that beautiful Wood Brothers 21 livery. We see race control is updated. Looks like Philip Aaron's back out for another lap. I don't know if that's going to count or not, but we'll see what happens there. Looks like Sean reports back to pits here after that lap, getting a P11. Switch over some of the other drivers that are out there. Looks like James Pendry solidly in first place currently with a 233.472. Then Colin right behind with a 233.926. Sam D with a 235.102 currently, but I believe he was faster previously. I think that's just the last lap that it's showing on our timing and scoring, which at some point I really need to go through that timing and scoring because it is not updating correctly. Should be in order, and of course it is not. Sam getting a little sideways there. Doing some Lance Stroll drifting. Hopefully not into any of the sand pits that are around. So we see Tyler doing a little drifting in the Haunt Hounds Star Cadet Spec P71 car. As we now see him make his way back towards pit lane. Moving on to Sam. And we see Sam return to pit as well. Looks like all the drivers are now back in pit lane. Apologize in advance for any background noise currently. My cat just literally Mufasa and scarred one of her toys off of her 10-foot tall cat tree. So there is There's death happening behind me at the moment. As we now see drivers moving on into race 1. Looks like we've got some, of course, wet weather. Try to find a good camera here. Go ahead and just scooch this right on down here. Don't mind that. My drone is, it could phase through all of the different things. So, and that is not a great camera because it is going to do that. So we'll stick right here for now with all of the drivers on grid. Sam Doherty in chat don't even know how to actually communicate that to everybody in chat. Just feel free to read the chat at any point. James Pendry is still rocking his flashers at this point, as is Colin, I believe, or he's just hitting the brake, one of the two. But yeah, James, if he continues to run that, he's just going to continue to rack up plus 10-second times here, penalties. So we see the race coming down to 30 seconds until start. I believe James is currently 3 years behind everybody else with the amount of plus 10-second penalties he has. So we see lights are out here. Drivers are ready to go. As we see, lights are all red. And they're off. Drivers sliding it everywhere, trying to get a good start going here. So we see Sam Doherty moving towards the outside of James Pendry on going into turn 1. Some drivers getting a little wide there, doing a great job trying to hold on to it. So we head down and in to the S's. Hopefully the drivers keep it clean going through the S's and that we get no collisions going here. Chom is watching intently from her cat tower and make sure she throws out the penalties that she needs to throw out. Looks like the drivers have all made it through clean so far. No issues yet. As we head down and in towards the toe of the boot. Looks like James getting a little wide there, taking a really strange line through the toe of the boot. Sam D looking to close in that gap now. As it looks like the rain is starting to come down even harder now. Drivers all doing a great job. I think this is the first race for Virtual Spec P71 that we have not yet had an incident. I know that is a announcer faux pas to do. As we see Chom leave her post from race control and move off into the kitchen. Looking for some food, I'm sure. We see a collision for Kevin Woodward, more than likely getting into the back of Matt Korchak. Kevin Woodward looking to the inside of Matt Korchak, trying to get a good pass on him before the S is here. Unfortunately, not able to get it done. We're right along through the S's in his porno red interior here. Thought that was done after the 80s with the Fox body, but apparently they brought it back for Kevin Woodward's Spec P71 car. As we see Kevin looking towards the outside. As they head towards the bus stop. Are they going to be able to keep it clean through here? As it looks like Kevin Woodward makes his way through and gets the pass cleanly on Matt Korchak. So we move back towards the gap up front here. Looks like James Pendry putting a bit of a lead on Sam D, but he's going to need to at least get a 20-second gap here for that to actually count, as he's been definitely penalized for his qualifying as well as currently running those hazards. Let's look a little further back. We've got a nice little group forming here. Looks like Kevin Woodward trying to get his work in on Lilac Zier now. See Matt Korchak getting a little bit wild there, going to the outside, almost into the wall. Holding on to it though. To see Colin M here with the flying lap out of everyone on course. See if he could manage to hold on to this. If he's able to continue to run those times, he could have something for Sam D. Of course, once again, Sam D and Colin M both have a tie right now in the championship lead. So every point's going to count here, whether or not who can get in front of who. The drivers look to continue to spread out a little bit. Oh, we see Tedward. Every time we cut to Tedward, it is like a bad luck thing. We just see Tedward getting sideways, spinning out, or hitting the wall. I feel bad now. Maybe I just don't pan to Tedward as we see another collision. It looks like Philip Aaron dropping back, coming out of the bus stop as we see Andreas Spech also get very, very sideways coming out of the bus stop there. It must be the rain coming down a bit more now. Thankfully, these Crown Victorias are indestructible tanks, so we will see no drivers pulling off for damage. As we see Matt Korchak getting a little bit into the wall there, losing some time. It's unfortunate on his end. I know Watkins Glen is a favorite track of Matt, but probably not in the rain. Looks like Sam D goes off and gives up the spot to Colin M here. That is going to drastically change how this championship goes. Sam D desperately needs to get back in front of him to hold on to that championship lead here. Give him a little bit of cushion if he can get back in front and, going into race 2. As we listen to the howl of these 4.6 liter 2 valves. And we just see James Pendry just absolutely smoking everybody right now with a 232.713, second faster than all the other drivers that are around him at this point. It's not going to be enough to get him far enough in the lead, though, unfortunately. He needs at least a 20-second gap to hold on to that first place for race 1. Driver's doing a great job here, though. Not any incidents as of yet that were costing each other as I switch over to Amy Dilks coming up through the S's. Looks like she got a little bit around there. Unfortunate. See, Tedward got through almost completely unscathed. I saw him get a little sideways trying to avoid that incident. As we switch back to Tedward and hope that we don't cause him another incident as he holds on to it back on track or into the grass. That's fine. I'm sorry, Tedward. We just won't switch to you anymore. As you see Lilac's ear dropping back here. Looks like she got a little bit sideways coming out of the entry to the boot. Cars are starting to get a little bit sideways here. We see a little bit of a collision between Philip Aaron and Kevin Woodward coming through the toe of the boot. His tires are getting a little spicy now as they start to wear through all of their grip. Overall, drivers doing a pretty good job of holding on to their positions here, despite all of the sliding and lack of grip of the rain. Looks like we are probably going to have rain for race 2 as well. The live weather is showing that the cloud is just hanging over. So you see James Pendry run another flyer of a lap, a 232.700. Still not going to be enough to really get him far enough out in front. So it looks like, oh, we switched to Tedward again. We're going to switch away from him real quick and hope that we did not cost him. We see Matt Korchek go a bit wide there, opening the door for Andreas Spec. Excuse my pronunciation as I continue to learn all the drivers' names. Moving back to Sean Merrick. Not a lot to be said as of yet about Sean. He's just been running his own race, keeping it clean, experiencing some wet track for the second time in his Spec P71 career. One time in real life, of course, and this time in rain, or in sim. We move back to James Pendry here. So race 1 beginning to wind down with 3 minutes left in the session. Looks like the drivers have kind of chilled out just a little bit here. I see that Tyler Heron was getting a little squirrely there. Some time definitely lost as we see Kevin Woodward get real sideways back there. Drivers doing the best that they can to keep themselves out of trouble. Tyler Heron, I gotta say, he's doing a fantastic job in this series so far. Doing everything he possibly can today to keep himself out of trouble. Showing that Pacific Northwest power that he could drive in the rain, keep up with everybody else. He's doing a great job holding on to that position here. So it looks like we have maybe about 2 more laps to go. If James can get across the line fast enough, I'm not sure he's going to be able to, actually. This might actually be the final lap. We'll see. We switch back to Amy. Amy, unfortunately, looks to be a bit far behind here as we see another collision for Tedward. This time, we did not switch to him. This was not caused by the announcing team. But unfortunately, had a little bit of an incident going into turn 1 there. Gets a little slippery. We see Stephen Moore with a collision there as he makes his way through the boot, the entry of the boot. Losing some time, Philip Aaron catching back up. As we see James Pendry. He's definitely not going to make it to the finish line before the end of the race here. So I think that is going to be the final lap. Unfortunately for James, that drops him down to P5. Due to the 20 seconds worth of penalties, 10 seconds for qualifying and 10 seconds for this race for running his hazards the entire time. You see Matt Korchek with some damage, a collision with Andreas Specht. And it looks like, well, at least I let Andreas stop for him. That's reasonable. James Pendry crosses the line in first, but unfortunately that leaves Colin M with his first win of the Spec P71 series. And Sam D right behind. That puts Colin right into the lead. Stephen Moore right behind in third place. Philip Aaron in fifth, since James Pendry claims fourth. Tyler Heron out right after him. Kevin Woodward in seventh. Lilac Zier in eighth. Matt Korchek will be crossing the line in ninth. Andreas Specht will be in 10th. John Merrick in 11th. Tedward in 12th with all kinds of slips and slides this race. And Amy Dilks rounding out the drivers in 13th. Huge congratulations to Colin M on his win today. Puts him very nicely into the lead here. With Sam right behind. See how this is going to change up with the top 5 drivers being reverse grid. Will make things very, very interesting. Puts James Pendry at a huge disadvantage if he decides to run his lights again for the next race, because that's another 10 seconds that he's going to have to deal with while starting from 5th place. So we'll see how that goes. Looks like all the drivers have, except for car number 8, returned to pit lane, or 8th place, Lilac, as well as Amy and Tedward. But we'll go ahead and move to the next session. It looks like it's overtime now anyway. We reset all of our drivers back on grid. As we mentioned, We have move this back up to Philip Aaron up front there. We have top 5 drivers starting reverse grid here. James Pendry. Let's see if he decides to run his flashers once again. Be unfortunate if he decides to, because and he does. So that's plus 10 seconds once again for James Pendry, if he leaves them on after the race starts, of course. Hazard penalties are not going to be driver initiated in this regard, because it was noted that we should not be running them at all, because drivers requested it. So yeah, that's going to be plus 10 for qualifying, plus 10 for race 1, and plus 10 for now if he decides to run them for the full race. Switch back to Philip Aaron, see if we can get a better camera going. There we go. We've got all the drivers in the view now. We have a countdown of 30 seconds for race 2. Got to remember to move the announcer's car off of the racing line, because that is not ideal if we keep that out there. You see lights have gone out here. Lights are all red, and they're off. Green flag, green flag, green flag for round 2, race 2 of Virtual Spec P71. We move our car offline here. So we see Sam D getting a great start to race 2 here. Drivers diving in. Looks like they're all safe so far out of turn 1. We know Phil Aaron is very fast, but let's see if he's able to hold on to it, as we see Tedward already with a collision somewhere. We'll move back to the leaders here. We see another collision. Something's going on behind. Looks like Tedward is around. Not having a great time back there, but drivers are making their way through here. So we see everyone make it through bus stop, I believe. We only hope. Looks like Stephen Moore now pressuring Philip Aaron here. Drivers diving into the boot as we see someone go off there a little bit. Looks like Lilac Zier hitting the wall. Getting right back on track and keeping going. Unfortunate. Looks like Stephen Moore gets into a bit of a tussle there. A little bit of an incident. I don't. Looks like it was some collision with potentially James Pendry. That could be another penalty for James. Looks like Andreas Specht gets into someone a little bit there as well. Lots of bumping and banging going on here in race 2. We head back towards the front. Watch Philip Aaron. He's in the lead right now. We got Sam D slowly breathing down his neck here. Let's see if Phil is able to hold on to the lead. We know in race 2 of round 1 that he had a major collision, or major incident, excuse me, in that race. We see drivers bumping and banging back here between Andreas Specht and Tyler Heron. But yeah, Philip Aaron unfortunately had that incident in race 2, round 1, where he spun out. Would have put him in the lead of the championship. So we see Kevin Woodward getting into the James Pendry back there. Lots of bumping and banging going on here. Drivers having a good time here in the wet. Well, yeah, Philip Aaron, known for being very fast and then being like the Los Angeles Chargers, just coming out of nowhere and just losing his steam and completely biffing it, unfortunately. Like the Chargers in the wild card game yesterday. You see some bumping and banging going on back here with Matt Korchek. Korchek, excuse me. It looks like Andreas Spec got sent towards the back. I hope that was, well, I definitely don't wish that on anybody, of course, but I hope that it was a self-induced and he wasn't helped. Good to see Bonnie636 in chat here. And I know that was rude, but it's the unfortunate truth. I said that knowing that you were in the chat, so or knowing that you were watching after I saw my text messages, of course. You see Tedward, unfortunately, getting into a little bit of an incident again. Tedward off on his own now. Still doing a great job so far. He just needs to maintain that lead over Sam. I know Sam is very hungry for that win right now. Try to get that lead over Colin. I believe as of this moment, as long as James stays in front of Colin, that Sam will have the championship lead. Looks like Andreas Spec got went back to pits. Looks like there was some sort of collision between he and Sean Merrick. Unfortunate. Just having a bad round this time around, I suppose. Move a little further back. Looks like Colin and Kevin Woodward having some fun back here. I think Kevin Woodward's got a little bit of a draft on Colin. Even further back, it looks like Matt Korchek and Tyler Herron duking it out, fists out, going into the bus stop. Matt getting into the bus stop. Can he hold it? He does. Brilliant pass by Matt Korchek there to take over 6th place. Matt just pushing hard here as we see Lilac Zier coming into that screen poetically with that slide. Is beautiful. Oh, it looks like Colin falling back behind Kevin Woodward here. Colin having a little bit of a struggle here this time around. Moving back up, looks like Tyler Herron right back around Matt Korchek. This is the battle to watch, I suppose. See these drivers going at it here. Good little 4-car battle going on. See if Lilac and Stephen Moore can get into this picture here. Drivers doing a great job with this insane amount of wetness. So we see James Pendry and Sam D starting to battle it out here. This is not for position, unfortunately, since James does have that 10-second penalty to deal with. James running that 2:33.098. That is the fastest lap of the race so far. So that's gonna make Philip Aaron sweat a little bit, I feel like. Either way, as long as Phil stays within 10 seconds of James Pendry, he will retain the lead. So we see some collisions going on further back. It looks like there's a little bit of bump drafting going on. So nothing too serious here. So we move back towards the front. I believe I just heard Chom meowing in the background. She is very pleased with the chaos of these races so far. He was, as I mentioned before, up on the cat tower, reenacting the Scar and Mufasa scene as she pushed one of her toys off the ledge. And I believe I overheard her say, "Long live the king." So it looks like we have some collisions going on here. Matt Korchek around. I think that may have been on his own. That is unfortunate. He was doing such a great job. And now that drops him back to 11th place. Looks like Tedward is been summoned by the planet, I guess, and sent back to pits by his people. Looks like he is disconnected here. So as we move back towards the leaders now with 5 minutes remaining in the race. James Pendry with another flyer of a lap, 232.503. Looks like James is trying to dive in, being real sketchy with that drive in there. It's not what I would call a quality move, but a move nonetheless. He's out there like Max Verstappen. He's going for a gap that doesn't exist. But we'll see if he can make his way around on the outside here. Oh, that is a risky move by Phil, trying to squeeze him there. They come in the bus stop. Yep, Phil just relinquishes the position. All Phil has to do is stay within 10 seconds now, and he will retain the lead. And Mr. Tedward says, "Oh wow, this is so much easier than what CSP was giving me." This is why I mentioned in the Discord to turn off a bit of the smoke, because if you turn down the smoke, then you could actually see. Because for whatever reason, CSP uses the rain spray as smoke. But yeah, at the moment, Philip Aaron holding on to that lead right now. Getting P1 as James Pendry needs to get 9 more seconds in 3 minutes. Unless something drastic happens here, I do not foresee that occurring. Philip Aaron doing a great job this time around. Hopefully he can hold on to it. Would love to see a P1 for him. If it was a time of day, Edward, then all you should have done is left and rejoined. I believe it probably messed with your daytime settings. Sometimes it does that. But looks like at the moment, Sam is going to once again match the points of Colin for this race. So we've got a deadlock once again for P1. But Philip Aaron coming back around here as long as... Oh, as we see Sam go way off. I spoke too soon here. Yeah, Sam needs to get back on course and hope that he's able to hold off Colin. But Philip Aaron here doing a great job of holding on to second place and only staying a second behind James Pendry. But Philip Aaron closing that gap of the points as long as he's able to maintain that P1 position currently. As we look back through the ranks, it looks like there's not too many other battles going on. Drivers are pretty spread out here a bit. Looks like James has opened up that gap now to 2 seconds. Not going to be enough, but potentially, I don't know. I don't think we're going to get to the end of this lap within 40 seconds. So I think this might be the final lap of the race. But we shall see. Looks like some collisions going on further back here between Stephen Moore and Lilac. Good little battle going on here. Lilac diving in at the toe of the boot. Getting sideways. Can she hold it? Oh, I think she did. She held on to it, but lost the position, unfortunately. We move back. Oh, we see Matt Korchek spinning like a ballerina further back here. I'm sure he is not happy with these conditions at the moment. So we look back towards the front. James Pendry crosses the line. Fortunately, getting into the wall a little bit there. Fortunately, it's going to cost him the win having those flashers on. But looks like Philip Aaron gets his first win of Virtual Spec P71 Racing Series this year. With looks like where are we? It looks like Matt. Nope. Give me a moment here. Sam D coming in second place with Colin M in third, or did I? I think they might have left with Kevin Woodward fourth, Tyler Heron fifth. And we got drivers just leaving. It looks like at this point. So look to. Oh gosh. CSP doing weird CSP things, I guess, according to Sam. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at this. Not really sure what happened there. Oh, it looks like Sam got forced back to pit somehow. But officially, or unofficially, we're going to go with Philip Aaron in first place, Colin M in second, Kevin Woodward fourth, Tyler Heron fifth, Stephen Moore sixth. Wait. Tyler Heron fourth, Stephen Moore fifth, Lilac Zier sixth. I think we're losing people off the screen here. So we're, yeah, anyway, going to keep going. Got this. We got this. Lilac Zier sixth, Sean Merrick seventh, Matt Korchik 8th, Amy Dilks 9th, Sam D 10th. Somehow Sam D 10th. I don't understand that, but we'll review that later. As we have Tedward in 11th and Andreas Specht in 12th. With, oh, I mean, we got to calculate James Pendry's at some point. I believe James Pendry was, looks like James Pendry comes in solidly in 5th. Or, yeah, 5th. Okay. Got this. It's fine. It's fine. We're doing this live. Fuck it. We're doing it live. But anyway, as we move back to this end of this entire thing, we appreciate you all joining. It was fantastic watching these races go on. Fantastic racing out there in the wet at Watkins Glen International Raceway. The next event, of course, will be next weekend. I don't have any plans to do any more insane amount of work on the real Spec P71 car. But let me take a look. See here, we have the next race is gonna be at, I believe it's walking, or is I believe it's Road to Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, Willow Springs. Willow Springs is the next one. Should be an absolutely fun event next week. So stay tuned. Check back in next week, and we hope to see you there. Thank you again for tuning in. See you next time.